Hello and welcome all. Just going to wait another moment here for just the last few people to kind of find their way in, and then we'll get started. So just please hold on for 1 or 2 more minutes.
Arthur, what's happening?
Hey, welcome.
Good to see you. Happy Monday.
Yeah.
A busy Monday and busy season.
That's right.
Nice. And hello to everybody. Yeah. Thanks everybody for joining. I guess we can give folks a couple more minutes and get rolling. What do you think?
Yeah, that works perfect for me.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Well, it's nice to see friendly faces online. And I like Tiffany, I like your little placeholder there that says hi. I feel like I need one. We should all have one of those. That's awesome. Always getting ideas.
Right. Well, it seems like the people joining has started to tail off here. So
all right. Well, let's do it.
Yeah.
You want to kick it off?
Sure. Yeah, I could be happy to kick it off. Absolutely. So welcome everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. Brandon and myself are really excited to have you all here today. And I'm going to share my screen, but typical with Zoom meetings here, you can use the chat if you have any questions, and we will get those questions answered in the best opportunity that we will have available for that. And I'm going to start off by telling you a little bit of a story. Oh, it looks like a couple more people here are starting to load in here. So I'm just going to try and keep one eye on the adding the participants as that happens. But
yeah, no worries. I like it. Story time on a Monday. That's a good situation. Hey, and if everybody doesn't mind on chat, if you just have a minute, just type in where you're joining from. I always like to find out where people are on planet Earth. I'm Brandon Bruce, the co-founder of Uncat, and I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee. So I'll put that in the chat. But if you don't mind just chatting in with where you're from, I'm always curious to see where people roll in from. Nice. See, we've got Winnipeg represented.
I like that, Brandon. Yeah, I'm actually up in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. So
nice. There you go.
Nice to have a Canadian on the call here with us today.
Neighbor Tiffany's from San Antonio, where I got married. Awesome. All right, Kamloops. That's got to be another San Antonio.
Another Canadian. Yep.
All right. I got to put in where I'm from. Knoxville, Tennessee. Boom. There you go. All right. Didn't want to interrupt your story time, Arthur. You jump in.
No worries. So yeah, I wanted to tell a little bit of a story. And this is actually a story about one of our clients. And it's kind of a sad story. So hopefully your tissues are right available there for you. But basically, this accountant had been working with their client. And they've been working with them for a long time. And they'd been building this monstrous report for them. It was actually a pretty big report. It took them several hours a month to produce for their client. And it was good. They sent it off to the client and not a lot of problems. Everything was okay. The problem was it was taking them a lot of time. Well, one month, he was going through the report and he actually saw that he had made an error. And there was a small error that the numbers were a little bit wrong, a little bit off. And as he went back, he actually looked through time that error had been an error for several months. And okay, it's kind of a sad story. Like I said, I'm sorry ahead of time, but it wasn't sad because the number was wrong. It wasn't sad that they could use a tool like reach reporting to make sure that number was never wrong. And it wasn't sad really that he was spending hours and hours building this report. What was sad was that this error had gone unnoticed for so long. Unnoticed by himself, of course, but even more sad that it was unnoticed by his client. And what he actually found out is that his client hadn't been looking at these reports. So he'd be spending all this time building these amazing reports that he felt were so informative. But the problem was that his client had never really looked at them. And so moral of the story, we need to be making reports that our clients actually want to read and that they're going to get value from. And so reach reporting can not only help you with making things quick, it can help you with making sure things are accurate, but reach reporting can actually also help you in making sure that you're building reports that your clients are going to read. Now, to get started, I'm going to share my screen, and I'll give you a little bit of a demonstration on how this is possible. So first off, this is the main screen when you first log into Reach Reporting. And one of the things that are going to be your first order of business is you're going to need to get your company, your clients' accounts added into our workspace here. And that's really simple to do. If you click on Add Company at the top right here, you'll see that we integrate directly with QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop, Xero. We also have a couple other integrations here. Specifically, I want to point out our trial balance upload. So if you have a client on Sage or one of their own unique ERPs, you can actually connect directly using our Excel spreadsheet tool and bring that data directly into Reach for all of the reports that you're going to see today. Once your client's data is in here, you're going to see their names start to, their company names start to populate in here underneath company name. And one quick thing before I jump out of the screen, we do have the ability to consolidate. So if you have clients that have several legal entities that you want to bring into one place, we can help them with that as well. But here I've gone in here, I have the Cook Nook. This is a fictional company, of course. And you'll notice here that I have also added their logo. And again, these are kind of some of the small detail things that really make Reach powerful in terms of making something that's going to be impressive for your client. Now, when I jump into this company by clicking open, you're going to see that there's two types of deliverables that Reach can help you with in terms of reporting data to your client. The first is a dashboard. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on dashboards today, mostly just because of the time that we're going to have available. But just to let you know in passing, dashboards are, I like to say, data on demand. This is where your clients can essentially log in and see a dashboard, and you can see they come in a variety of shapes and sizes. They can see them on demand. It's kind of like a window into their finances without them having to go into QuickBooks and navigate and find the right reports. You can actually put it up and available for them on demand. Of course, you can also put in graphs and tables and whatnot also in that as well. I'm going to click on reports to show you the second type of deliverable Reach can help you with. Now, reports are built to be more of those monthly, quarterly, or maybe annual snapshots of the client's business. And one of the things you're going to find that these are reports that you can download into a PDF form, and they can be delivered out via email or via our client portal that they can log into and see these reports. Like I said, they're more of those snapshot pieces. Now, Reach has, you can see on my screen here, a variety of different types of reports. And if I click on Add Report, we actually have an entire library of report templates that you can explore with your clients' numbers. And every one of these reports, as soon as you launch them, are going to give your clients' numbers a little bit of pizzazz. It's going to help you see them in a different way, and it's going to help you present them in a different way to your clients as well. And see, as you'll see as I scroll through here, some of them are almost like a glossy magazine. They're very bright colors and pictures. And some of them are very simple, right? Such as our budget analysis templates that we have here. And so all of these reports are very quick and easy to access and provide to your clients. I'm going to scroll down here to this monthly C, and I'm just going to click here, and I'm going to click Add Report to give you an example of what this might look like for you jumping into Reach for the first time on your own. Now, if I click on this report, when I click Open, it's going to launch into the report builder. Now, you can see that it's loading the report. What it's actually doing is it's going into our database that you've connected directly from QuickBooks Online, and it's pulling all of your clients' numbers into our template. So every number you're going to see here right from the get-go is going to be actual numbers coming directly out of QuickBooks. Now, every report is built with these different components on the side here. Now, even the most simplest to the most elaborate, they're built with these components that you can see here. Components such as graphs and tables, which you'll see, statements, right? That's your P&L, your balance sheet, cash flow statement, and so forth. Images, you saw some had images in there. And in fact, this logo is a type of image. It's a PNG file or a JPEG or both options there. And everything within our report builder is click and drag. So as you can see here, I can position this where I want it, and I can even change the size very easily. Now, one of the fun things I love to do in Reach is going into the company settings. I can actually make the theme of the report match off the color of the logo. So again, we're doing things like this that are going to really help go a far way into making the report stand out for your client, and it's going to make it something that they're going to be interested in looking at and wanting to see. And so you see here now, once I click on it and I click refresh, I just need to quickly refresh this page. The report is going to pull up here, and I'll be able to change the theme to match that the color of the logo by clicking on theme at the top here. And it's just got to wait till it finishes working here. You can click on it, and now you can see the color, the theme along the top here. So say I wanted to go for something similar to this. Now everything that was that blue throughout this report is now turned into a color that's similar to the color in the logo. Now, as I scroll through here, there's a couple other items I want to quickly point out. We have two different types of text. We have what I call static text, and we have something called live text. Now, static text is text that's going to be the same no matter what the situation is. For example, we type it in and it stays there forever. In this case, monthly report, I could easily just change this to month report or any type of title that I want. And every time I run the report, it's going to be the same. Now that's pretty fun, and it's pretty customizable. But what's really fun is when I start to look at our live text. So if I click on live text here, you can see there's a whole bunch of options in here that you can explore, and we won't go on through those today. But to highlight, if I click on this block of text below here, see where it says February, that is highlighted with a white dotted line, and you can see it's highlighted with blue. That's indicating that this date is this piece of text is going to change every single month that we open up this report. I've heard so many stories where clients are like, love this one piece. They've sent out a report that's they've changed all the numbers and everything's exactly where they need it. They send it out to the clients, and all of a sudden they were like, oh crap, I forgot to change the date. Well, now you don't have to think about that kind of thing. The date is going to automatically change. Now the date and the text all they're all can be customized using these tools along the top here. And so in terms of changing the font style, changing the size, I can change the color of the font. All of that can be completely customized along the top there. So they act the same, and they're also click and drag similar to the other components I was pointing out. Now, as I scroll through here, you'll see a lot of this stuff put into action here. So as I continue to scroll through, you'll see that I have this little paragraph giving you a little bit of an explanation of what the client will be able to see going into the report. You can see some live text brought in here, giving us some takeaways on the last month. And if you can see here on your screen, it's this one's showing February. The net profit was 7,000 or minus 7,000, which is not a great profit, of course. The bank accounts were 4,000, and you can see the gross profit margin. So these are all numbers that will automatically update for you every single month. And it's completely customizable. If you're like, you know what, my client does not really care about their bank accounts, you can delete that and you click it off and it's gone. And so you're completely in control of that. Here's some more examples of some live text coming in, okay, numbers being brought in. And we get into this area here, you can see that these boxes here, these are what are called metrics in Reach. And each metric is also customizable. So for example, if I wanted to add some commentary, I could slide this over and I could say, let's go in here and let's add a little bit of comments on what we're seeing in terms of my client's numbers. And you can obviously type whatever you want into this box. And then next month, when it's maybe no longer necessary, you can delete it and you can drag it across. But even more, I can actually go in here and I can add some columns to here and maybe some rows. And what you'll see is that the back end of everything in Reach is spreadsheet based. And this is one of the things that attract people, a lot of people to Reach reporting, is our spreadsheet functionality. We actually use all the same logic that you would experience or expect in Excel in Reach. Obviously for everything that's applicable. And so in this case, for example, we have columns along the top showing us the different months, right? This is showing February and January. But then when we look at the change, we might be like, what is change? Well, it's very simple to see what changes by clicking on the cell. I can see that it's a simple calculation of A1 minus B1, the exact same calculation that you would expect using in Excel. If I wanted to add some more data to this, I can do that in one of two ways. I can add a column or I can add a row. Okay, rows are going to take me to my data picker, where I can have access to every account or sub account that's in my chart, my client's chart of accounts. Likewise in my balance sheet, as you can see here. So for example, if I did want to bring bank accounts back in here, I know I removed it from the other page. If I wanted to bring bank accounts in here, I could click save. And notice that bank accounts are now been added to the bottom here. Okay. By using my arrange rows, I can make that point that anywhere I want. Maybe I want it at the very top. And you can see very simply how that's looking. Probably also want to bring in my formula by dragging it up. Okay. Likewise, I can add columns. If I click on add columns at the top from actuals, I can choose any number of automated pre-created date ranges from quarterly to annually to monthly. In this case, maybe I'll bring in year to date. And when I click add, you can see that that's been brought in here as well now. One of the fun things is just like you would expect in Excel, I can click on the paint formatting and I can make this look and feel like it belongs. And simply by clicking save and close, now this table has snapped into place a little bit here for us. And you'll see now it looks a little bit more, it looks like it belongs, of course, and it's got a little bit more data in it. And again, trying to build these reports that your clients are going to look at, we want to make sure we add the data and show it in the way that your clients are going to expect it and the data that's going to be valuable to them. And so in this case, bank accounts might be something they might want to watch. Okay, this graph, it acts the exact same way. If I click on edit metric, you'll see that it'll pull up an additional tab here. And in this case, the data points that are being brought in are gross profit margin and net profit margin. Perhaps maybe, you know what, I'm more, you know, I like the column chart style. I can go in here and I can change colors and I can make all of this look and feel like it is, you know, part of a little bit of a different style. This one looks a little bit off because the columns are a little bit off. You can see the numbers are a little bit weird. So what I'm going to do is, you know what, I think I prefer the line chart after I've kind of come in here and I've played with things and adjusted them. So I'm just going to click cancel, leave without saving, and it's going to remain as a line chart. But you have that flexibility to adjust the tables and the charts to fit your own design needs that you're looking for. And as you go through here, you can add additional pages. You can remove pages, right? You can click on the circle up here and delete pages. And the reports can be as long or as short as you want them. The key thing, of course, is that we're wanting to bring in data and show your client their numbers in a way that's going to make sense for them. One of the ones that I see most regularly that clients really appreciate is when we start to mix financial and non-financial numbers together. And I'm going to give you a quick demo on that before I turn the time over to Brandon and some questions, of course. But here I've gone in here and I've added a new page. And I have this tool called data sheets. Now, data sheets, think of this as your own personal database where you can put any number you want in there. Numbers that aren't going to automatically come out of QuickBooks. One of the ones that I often talk about is number of employees. And so if I click on here, I can actually see a spreadsheet backend, again, spreadsheet based, where I've gone in and I've actually added the number of employees over the last several months. Once those numbers are in here, they're now available for me to be able to use in any metric or graph or table, anything that I'm trying to build. And so if I quickly jump back down to the bottom of where I added that new page, right here, this time I'm going to click on metric. I'm going to click create. In this case, I'm going to keep it on actuals, but note we can bring in budget and forecast data. I'm going to choose the last 12 months. And I'm going to go into my data sheets and I'm going to pull my number of employees. And I'm actually going to compare that with my total income. So I can now build a unique calculation of income per employee. And that's equals your income divided by your number of employees, like you might expect. I can click and drag this across, okay? Using these little blue eyes, see my preview below here? Using these little blue eyes, I can hide those rows of data that we don't necessarily need to see, okay? And now I'm going to turn it into a line chart because I think it looks great as a line chart. And whenever you have any good KPI, you're going to want to have a goal along with that as well. And so I'm going to add a simple goal line in here and say, for example, between my clients and I, we've decided that $1,200 income per employee is a really good target for us to be aiming for. Well, I can type in goal here, and I can make this a little bit thinner and simpler. And then, oops, let's click Control C, Control V, I can click create. And now you can see I have income per employee here as a metric on my report that I'm sending off to my client. And again, this is another step towards becoming so custom and so personalized for our client that they're going to actually pull this report. Not only are they going to see numbers in the way that they need to see them, they're going to see graphics, they're going to see tables, they're going to see visualizations of their numbers, but they're also going to be able to see some KPIs that are specifically meant for them in their business, and they're going to help them make their business decisions moving forward. When I'm done with this, I simply click PDF. This will now download a PDF of this report to my browser here. And when I click open on it, you'll see that I can put this in an email, and everything that I've created will be exactly how I saw it in the report builder prior to creating it like this. And it'll be able to send off to my client. Now, next month, when I come back in here, all of the numbers will automatically update with next month's data. And so my process of building these reports aren't going to be hours every month or even minutes every month. They're actually going to be seconds every month when you open up here and you just click PDF. And so that's how you can build a report that your clients are going to actually want to look at. Any questions from any of the participants here today? I did such a good job explaining it, right? And that's why there's no questions.
It's down to a science, Arthur.
Yeah.
No, but it goes without saying, and Arthur said at the top, if anybody has questions about reach now or at the end of the webinar or even afterward, obviously, please follow up. We're both super easy to reach. Same goes for Uncat. In fact, now that I think of it, I'll just put my email address in the chat. That way you all have it. If you ever want to reach out about anything Uncat or tech stack or accounting, let me know, and Arthur can post his in there also.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, obviously, huge thanks to Arthur for the demo of Reach. The thing that jumps out to me about Reach reporting, and I've used lots of accounting tech, and my co-founder, Adam Slack, runs a firm here in Knoxville and is very aware of everything in the industry. One of the big keys is usability, right? And I think that comes across loud and clear in the demo is that everything's drag and drop. It's easy to visualize what's going to go out. There's a lot of free text fields. So if you want to comment on something, you can add it in. And these are all really obvious, but sometimes overlooked limitations of just like, cool, I exported a report. Well, now you got a PDF. What are you going to do? Import it into Acrobat or Preview and then add annotations to it. It gets kind of clunky at that point. It's hard to manage version control. It's hard to know what you sent out. It's hard to digest it and actually use it. And so certainly one of the big things that we hear when reporting comes up is this something my client will actually look at? Because otherwise we go back to the story that Arthur started with, which is generating lots of reports, but if no one reads them right, if the tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? If a report gets generated and the client never looks at it, does it matter? It's a fair question. So here, Reach, I think, has done a great job of that. Plus, they've got an awesome team. So it's always super fun to hang out with you, Arthur, and the rest of the Reach team at various conferences. So we've been at QuickBooks Connect together a couple times. I think the Woodard conferences, maybe a couple others. So it's nice now that 2020, early 2021 is behind us. We're back to in-person conferences again. So hopefully we get to hang out again here upcoming this summer. And for those of you that get out to some of the accounting bookkeeping conferences, we'll be at the Scaling New Heights conference in St. Louis, which is in June. Obviously, when QuickBooks Connect comes back again later in the year, I don't think they've announced dates yet, but usually it's in November. This past year, it was kind of early December. We will be there as well. We had a great experience in Las Vegas, and for sure one of the best conference agendas we've seen in terms of the keynote speakers. You had Simon Sinek, Malcolm Gladwell, and Serena Williams. Like that's an all-star day right there. So it was worthwhile. But yeah, love to share with you a little bit about Uncat. I know we've got some Uncat users on the line already. So if you have any comments, questions as an Uncat user, definitely post those too. And I did want to shout out to Michelle, who's the first one to answer where she's from, Atlanta, Georgia. But she added Go Vols, which was very generous. of you, Michelle, because obviously you got some teams down in Georgia that have done pretty well the last several years, but the Volunteers did have a strong football year. And we also have a team, a couple teams actually have done quite well in basketball last several years. The Lady Vols play in round 2 tonight. So fingers crossed we'll get another win. But yeah, let me share a little bit about Uncat with you all. Let me share my screen. There we go. So this is Uncat. This is our homepage, super easy, uncat.com. If there was any confusion, I can put it to rest. Uncat is simply short for uncategorized. We like having fun. Uncategorized transactions by themselves, not super fun. So we've injected cats because cats are awesome. And so I originally, when I first started talking with firms about, hey, do you have clients that have uncategorized transactions? What about you? What about you? Everybody did. And many of them referred to the process of getting responses back from clients as, gosh, it feels like every month I'm herding cats, which constantly getting out to my client. Hey, can you send me that thing about that one expense? And what was this income from Venmo or PayPal? And what was this thing that you bought at Amazon or Walmart? And like, it's too many balls in the air, too many cats scurrying about and trying to close the books at the end of every month. So I was looking for an image that encapsulated the herding of cats, and I found one in which the cat was doing the herding. And so it was ironic and fun. It makes everybody smile. So that's why the herding cat is on the homepage. Our Uncat logo, a shout out to our graphic designer a couple of years ago when we first launched. She designed the logo where if you take the U and turn it 90 degrees counterclockwise, it's actually a question mark. And that's because these are uncategorized transactions. If we knew exactly what they were for, we would categorize them and be done with it. But here there's a mystery. There's a question that we need to ask the client. What was this exactly for? So that we can put it into the right account. I know I'm preaching the choir today. Some people sometimes will ask, well, why is that important? It's sort of like, why is an accurate report important? It's because you want to get a visual sense of how are things trending, right? Am I making a profit? What's the bottom line versus top line? How am I versus budget? The same is true with categorizing transactions. One, it's just a good idea to know what buckets you're spending in, how you're receiving money from a deposit standpoint. It's a good way to prevent, preempt, or respond to an audit. And it's a great way to get the right answers back from clients so you can get the best possible tax treatment. You all know all this already, but I like to capture it just because it's like, why build the app Uncat? Those were some of the top reasons why. So the idea for the app came from my co-founder, Adam Slack, who runs a big firm here in Knoxville called Two Roads. And he described the issue of having to export like 350 spreadsheets a month to his clients to get responses back about these transactions. And he said, do you think we could build an app for that? And I was like, well, it's worth investigating, because I was on the client side receiving these spreadsheets and I didn't love that either. And so he said, hey, could we sync uncategorized transactions, notify clients, get their responses back, categorize them, and then have everything sync back into QuickBooks? And so it's a good question. And so that's where the concept for Uncat came from. And that's what we built. So this is where the journey starts. If you're interested in what you see and you're not already using Uncat, just start here, click start a free trial. We'll send you out a nice Starbucks gift card to say thanks for trying it out. You can come in there and it's really easy to connect your first client and start syncing transactions and getting their feedback. You'll be up and running in probably 90 seconds or less. It's probably the easiest app that you'll ever use. One of the key things that we discovered right after we launched was it was super important to keep the app simple for clients. Otherwise, to Arthur's point, clients wouldn't use it. And so what we've done is, as soon as you invite the client will simply get an invitation email that's got a magic link inside of it. Client doesn't have to create a password. They don't have to create an account. They don't have to download an app. All they have to be able to do is click a link in the email, and that will take them straight to their dashboard. And here's an example of a client dashboard. So here they can see the transactions, and they can also see their box where they need to describe what it was for. So here's a deposit from Square. We see a lot of deposits, as you can imagine, from Venmo, PayPal, Square, Stripe, Cash App, and of course, good old-fashioned cash. And then we see a lot of expenses from Amazon, Walmart, Costco, Home Depot, Lowe's, and then of course, even places like Applebee's, where we know it's a restaurant. We know that you had something to eat there. The question is, who did you eat with? What was the purpose of the meal? It's going to be a different categorization, different tax treatment, depending on your answers for that. So this is a kind of a classic client dashboard where they can enter in a description for each transaction. Optionally, they can click on the paperclip and add an attachment. So when they add a description, optionally an attachment, usually that's a receipt, or if it's income, could be a PO or a contract. They'll come over here and click save, or save updates at the bottom if they've updated multiple transactions. Their answers will sync into QuickBooks. The transaction that they've answered will disappear from their dashboard because their work is done. So they've done their homework. They can go back to growing their business. And then their answers are going to show up on your Uncat dashboard, and we're going to send you a daily digest email. So it'll say, dear accountant, you have 7 clients that have updated 54 transactions. Click here to review them and categorize them from your dashboard. So when you get that notice, you'll come straight into your dashboard and you'll be able to see very quickly and easily, because we highlight them in yellow, here are the transactions your client has updated. So you can review their description, and based on what they said, you can come in here and categorize the transaction. This matches up with the chart of accounts for that client. You can also assign a class. You can come in here and expand the transaction to see additional fields. You could assign a customer, a location. You could enable tax, et cetera. That's going to be especially relevant if you're in Canada or the UK or other jurisdictions with lots of different tax rates. In the US, it's just an on or off toggle switch, but otherwise it's the drop-down menu with tax rates. And then when you've made those changes, you can click save and it'll sync through into QuickBooks and your work is done. There's a few other bells and whistles, as you can imagine, on the dashboard. You can sort by any column. You can also select any given transaction, and you can come up to the top and split it. So you've got lots of options here at the very top action menu. You can come up here. You can split the transaction by account or by class. You can also select multiple transactions and do things like assign the same class or vendor or customer to multiple transactions at a time. So all these things are really designed with you as the user in mind to save you time. All of these features are based on requests that we got over time from accountants and bookkeepers running their firms and encountering these little workflow snags and saying, hey, can I bulk categorize in Uncat? Can I sort by the amount of the transaction? What if I just want to take care of all the Amazon transactions first? Can I search for that and just see those transactions, kind of knock them out in a batch? And as you can already see on the page, can I see more than one client at a time? I'm used to having 50 client tabs open at the end of the month, trying to close month end with everybody. It'd be great if I could just see all of them on one screen. And so here, if you click on dashboard at the top, you're going to see multiple clients, right? We've got a QuickBooks client here. We've got a Xero client. So if you've got clients on QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop, or Xero, those are our 3 supported platforms right now. You can see all of them on one pane of glass here in Uncat. Usually the questions at this point get into, how do these transactions show up in Uncat? When does my client get notified? And those all go to settings. So this is your main settings page. It'll show you a list of the clients you've connected, and it'll show you a list of your coworkers. So if you work in a firm context, you can invite your coworkers here, as many as you want, and you can even assign particular clients to particular accountant users. And then one of the more popular features to set up as soon as you start your trial, you can upload your own logo. You can put in the name of your firm, and you can change the color of the app if you want. That way, Uncat reflects your brand. When your clients show up, they know they're in the right place because it reflects your company. We've got a little certification program that's pretty fun. So you can grab your little Uncat badge. We have a referral program. Had a lot of nice people write some nice reviews for us on the QuickBooks App Store and others. And then billing, if you didn't already see it on our homepage, is super easy. It's a very inexpensive app. It's $5 a month per client. So you can, it's unlimited transactions, unlimited users. Pretty much everything is wide open. The settings are very robust and powerful. It's just $5 a month per client that you connect to Uncat. So if I go into a particular client, and let's go ahead and use the one that we were showing on the screen already, Acme, and I go into their client settings, you'll see I've selected these 4 accounts to sync from QuickBooks into Uncat. You can choose any account from the chart of accounts for that client that you want. And then you can choose a date. How far back do you want to sync for this client? And we'll bring in those transactions that are in those accounts. And then here's how often the client gets notified. By default, we send out notifications weekly. And so some firms will say, well, yeah, but it's a month-end close. We usually just notify clients monthly. You can certainly switch to that if you want. However, we found the best results in weekly, and you just avoid the shoulder shrugging on behalf of the client. That was 30 days ago. I have no idea what the transaction was for. I've traveled 6 times. So it's a little bit easier if it's weekly. It'll jog the client's memory of like, oh, yeah, I remember that. That was the expense at the airport when I was on the way to visit the client. for the delivery. So good responses weekly. You can choose the day of the week if you have a preference for when your client likes to receive communications from you. And then these are the dashboard settings. So I showed you a pretty default configuration where the client is being asked for a description and it's required. And here you can see the receipt is optional. But if you hit this top switch, call it the superpower switch because it makes the client more of an accountant user, you can then control exactly what the client can see and what they can update and which fields are required. So for example, I had a demo this morning. Firm had a lot of nonprofit clients. They said, we really need to get information back from the client about what class every transaction should go into. So here's an example of where not only is the description required, they're also requiring the client to choose a class for every transaction. You can also require, like I'm doing here, the client to actually categorize every transaction. Totally optional. But if you've got a client that's with you in the books, they understand their chart of accounts, you can ask them to categorize the transactions. When they do that, it will update in QuickBooks, but it will also show up on your dashboard. That way you can review it. If they got it right, simply approve it. If they got it wrong, you can override their selection and sync in the correct account to QuickBooks. And then lastly, in settings, these are client users. So you may be doing work for a small business that has an owner or a couple co-owners. That's easy. It may be a larger client, in which case you could have many users like this. And if you want to, you can assign each user to see very specific transactions. So for example, this first user is only going to see transactions that originated from Venmo. Meanwhile, this bottom user is only going to see transactions that are uncategorized expenses that came from their credit card. Maybe they're a regional sales director, they're out in the field. They don't know what's happening at headquarters, but they should be able to answer for the expenses that are on their credit card. This third user, we could conceive of as like a accounts receivable manager. So they're just going to see uncategorized income. They don't really have visibility into expenses. And then the main user is going to see all of the transactions. So it's totally up to you. You can leave it wide open, let the user see everything, or you can control specifically who should see what. And that is pretty much it. Uncat's super easy to use. Obviously, it's very easy for me to demo. I'm pretty used to it. But if you have any questions at all about overall settings, client settings, how the dashboard works, happy to answer those. We've got several thousand accountant bookkeeping firms using the app now. Last year, I think our aggregate stats for 2022, we had about 175,000 transactions get categorized through Uncat, worth about almost $500 million. So it's quite a bit of volume. So if you have clients that haven't categorized, which most of us do, this should be able to save you a lot of time. It's very easy for you to use, and importantly, it's very easy for your clients to use. So we get nice feedback from clients saying, oh, this is so much better than receiving a spreadsheet. Because for a spreadsheet, to update it, usually you got to be in front of your computer. Many clients are on their phones all day. They're running a restaurant, they're running a manufacturing shop. And so with Uncat, when they get that magic link and it shows up on their phone, they just tap it. It will open up Safari on an iPhone or Chrome on an Android. They can tap in their responses. They can upload receipts from the camera roll on their phone, click save, and move on with their day. And in fact, well, come to think of mobile, down here in the client user list, you can see that you can easily add a phone number for any client user. That's a very popular feature. That way, if this is a client that isn't necessarily checking email very often or possibly at all, we'll send them a text message as well. So when they receive a notification, they'll get an email notification. Simultaneously, they'll get the notification by text message. And that really helps to cut through the clutter. All of us are pretty conditioned at this point to check text messages to see what's in there. All they have to do is click the little link in the message and it'll take them straight into Uncat. Cool, those are some Uncat highlights. I will pause for a minute and jump back into Zoom and see if anybody's got any questions or want to talk about Uncat or just cats in general. Some of you probably saw my cat a minute ago because she likes to join me when I do demos because she knows I'm a captive audience, right? If I'm doing a demo, I can't really move. So she likes to come over and participate in that as often as possible. Let me jump into the chat. Okay, fantastic. You got a testimonial from Tiffany. Loves Reach. And you herd cats all the time. I hear you. Yes, there's herding cats and then there's hearing cats, and sometimes it's both, right? Sometimes I'm chasing my cat and I get to hear my cats make some noise in the house. So love it, Tiffany. Anybody has any questions for Arthur or for me? We are at your disposal. And otherwise, this recording, I know Arthur's recording it, we'll send that out afterward, so everyone has a copy of it if you want one. And both of us are very accessible if you have any questions about either platform.
I gotta say, Brandon, fantastic tool, and I don't know what's better, the tool or your branding. Gotta say that
The branding gets pretty high marks.
Kills it, definitely.
Yeah, we've been having fun. If for those of you that do enjoy March Madness from a basketball standpoint or a non-basketball standpoint, I'll grab a link here in a minute that I can share with you all. There's this fun little competition happening out there where they've created a bracket of various accounting and bookkeeping apps. And so Uncat has progressed through the first couple rounds, and now we are in a head-to-head battle. It's Uncat versus QuickBooks itself. So this would be a classic Cinderella story for the very small company to be paired with the mothership, right? Most of us exist in order to serve folks that use QuickBooks and Xero and these big general ledger accounting platforms. So anyway, I'll put the link in here because it's just a fun activity that someone came up with, and you can vote for your favorite apps. Obviously, vote for Uncat, but you'll see a bunch of other apps and influencers and podcasts and stuff that you can vote for. And apparently, they're giving away a trip to Hawaii. So every time you vote, you get entered in a raffle, and at the end, they're going to choose some lucky winner. So if you're into that kind of thing, here's a link to the bracket. Nice. Michael, your March Madness is the Iditarod race. Love that. Have you done the Iditarod race? That would be super cool. I have watched some documentaries about it. And also I had a friend years ago that did, and they still do these. They have sort of like a human version, which is to say there's no dogs involved. So there's one, they used to call it the Iditasport. It's got a different name now, but usually they set it up as a 100-mile. Sometimes it's up to like 500 miles where you either run or you mountain bike or you snowshoe or cross-country ski, and it's just self-powered. So you got to bring your own stuff with you, but you don't have the benefit of a dog sled team. Anyway, kind of fun. Nice. Lived in Anchorage. I did my first marathon up in Anchorage. It was called the Mayor's Midnight Sun Marathon because the sun basically didn't set all day, which you're used to, Michael. But for me, going up there and being able to read the newspaper out at night at 2 a.m. was super weird. It's kind of awesome. Nice. Now we're into tangent zone, right? Talking about we're talking about races through Alaska, but I like that sort of stuff. If anyone's into crazy outdoor stories, Arthur knows this story already. That last year, so it's been about 6-7 months, I was on a bike ride here just outside of Knoxville, coming downhill on my road bike, going pretty fast because I'm a pretty big guy, 30+ miles an hour. Came around a turn and had a head-on collision with a black bear. And the black bear made it out of that just fine. I ended up with a broken leg and broken foot. So the bear won, but it was a big, epic, dramatic crash, and I was lucky to get out of it with just that. But I share that story because people enjoy it, and now you can tell it at dinner tonight, and you can say, I met a guy who crashed into a bear on a bicycle. And yes, as Michael says, bears usually win, and 100% agree. Bears are rock solid. So thankfully it was fine. I took the worst one on that one. But yeah, keep an eye out for wildlife. It's spring. They're out and about.
He must have spooked him pretty good because couldn't turn around and just eat you. I mean, he would have been.
That's right. Yeah. People have said, what if it came back after you? And I was like, well, I would have been slim pickings because I was just laid out in the middle of the road. But yeah, I think I tagged it pretty hard, and I think it was ready to call it a day and head off into the woods at that point. And thankfully it wasn't a big Alaskan bear. They're different up there when you get into grizzly territory. This is still a good sized bear, 350, 400 pounds probably, but big black bear. Yes, grizzlies do protect they're very territorial. They don't like when people get up in their business. Cool. Well, if you all have questions about Uncat, visit our website, reach out to me anytime. Happy to answer questions. It's a busy season for us because a lot of people are using our app to do cleanups for 2022, get ready for tax filing season. And then also certainly we're used for, month-end close all the time and going forward. So if we can be useful to you and your clients at any time, whether it's now or after the dust settles after tax season, definitely look us up. We're here to help. And, same for Reach, right? We titled this reporting during busy season. It's really reporting for all seasons. So I think it'd be helpful to you and your clients now to generate some great reports and get a sense of the business here as you file taxes. Fantastic. Otherwise, jump in and grab it after the craziness of busy season. And that way you'll be in great shape a year from now. All the reports will be dialed in. I think that's all I've got.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it.
All right. Have a good day. Bye now.
All right. Take care, everybody.